You in the wrong neighborhood for that, boy. What's the name of the household? We're from New York.
I think people have a lot of myths and misunderstandings about what it is to live in poverty. I think there's a whole lot of blaming or victimizing the people who live in poverty. And the poverty simulation definitely helps to address some of those misperceptions.
Or your real baby's a baby.
Well, the poverty simulation is designed for people to have a glimpse of what it feels to look at poverty, to live in poverty, and the ripple effects of poverty itself. And so hopefully the educational experience that it will take from it is that, okay, if I'm not in poverty, this is what people in poverty go through. If I am in poverty, I don't want to stay here.
What you are going to do is to keep your family housed, fed, and safe for a month, and the month is 4 15-minute weeks. I will have a sign up here that tells us which week we are in. The weeks start and stop with my whistle. I give them the basic information. They get to open their envelope, which describes their families. And so they will decide who's the mom, who's the dad, who's the elderly grandparent, who's the disabled person, who's the kid, and they will make those determinations, and then we go from there. I will blow the whistle and start week 1, and the kids will go to school, and the kids will be wearing visors, so you'll know who the kids are in the simulation. Kids will go to school, the adults with job will go to work, and the other people will do whatever their family has determined for them to do. So they may go to the pawn shop, or they may go over to the payday advance and buy some more transportation passes, or they may disable, so they're just sitting there. So that's week 1. When I blow the whistle, everybody has to go home because everything closes on the weekend, and so they go back home and we'll do a week again. And so by this time they are a little more aware of what they're supposed to be doing, and they're more aware of how it's not all going to work. Week 3, school's closed, and so the parents have these kids to figure out what are we going to do with these kids.
I'm responsible. Come on, let's go there. I'm not no kid. Let me, sir. Just a kid right here. Sir. The kid was in school. That kid was in school. You put a sign on the stuff. This kid was left unattended. You come on. Hey, I got a check.
And then week 4 is, by this time, some of them are finally kind of figured it out, but the simulation is winding down.
Y'all left me with $70.
Lester. Cash disability.
Because we are dealing with younger people and a lot of younger males, what we are hoping is that they have their eyes opened a little bit to what life will be and not just live with whatever they're hearing on the street.
I can't be blowing out camera.
Sir, I understand. Well, we're going to try to get you some help. There's some resources. We do have programs and organizations, but you cannot have for your misconduct. But that's inappropriate behavior. I understand, sir.
They didn't give me no, what it was, the receipt. I didn't get no receipt, and they just let me walk out like that.
Looking over your income, the family is eligible for TANF benefits of $292 per month, but it takes 30 days to process the application. So you won't be able to receive benefits until next month.
I'm going to be honest and say I was not looking forward to this because I wasn't sure how it really was going to fit into the work that the Fatherhood Coalition is doing, some of the work that we're through the foundation that we've been sponsoring around teen pregnancy prevention and secondary prevention. This simulation really is one of those efforts in the end that helps families to be ready. If individuals realize that they may not have the wherewithal to really support a child and they make the decision to delay, then that helps us ensure that children are being born into families that are really ready. Going through the experience, seeing it, being a volunteer with it, although it was a simulation, they were experiencing some hardships, the end message is that this doesn't have to be your reality. And that's powerful for individuals that may not have a whole lot of hope.
We got 10 days to get out? We got 10 days to get
I'm a single father, and I am by no means rich, but I do understand some of the challenges that parents and families face. Today, when I was going around asking for mortgage payments, and the parents weren't there, the heads of households weren't there because they were at work, and some of the kids were at school, the other ones were at home. Even though these families aren't actually, a lot of them weren't actually related, they're not actually families, and none of this was real. When they don't have an ability to stop what's happening, and they're completely powerless, even in a situation like this, that reaction was very powerful.
Okay, well this is the notice. You guys have 400 right now. If you can't get 400, then I have to evict you. I'm sorry. You've had 4 weeks.
What we were doing in there, that's everyday life for me. So going to the pawn shop to sell some of your stuff to get money to pay bills.
And I'm selling both of them to you.
Right. And I've got a lot of them already. Come back next week.
Well.
And then, you're going to work, and then you still have family at home that's you still got to take care of, or bills that needs to be paid, and then you got to pay them before you get off of work, and then sometimes you don't even get to pay them because the place is closed.
You owe $225 in loans that you have to pay before you can cash it.
And then some people that don't go through that, they don't experience that. They don't experience they ain't never experienced heating from a stove, or water with no power, or power with no water. They ain't never went through stuff like that.
Hey, use the food stamps. You can use them now.
Like we only have food for 1 week, and the rest of the weeks we just starve.
Sometimes you have to sacrifice to pay your bills, just to live. Me dropping out of school and trying to sell drugs is not gonna work in the real world because you're gonna end somewhere dead or in jail. You won't get a job dropping out of school, at least a minimum wage job, and you ain't gonna survive that long.
What feelings got stirred up in you during this process? Anger? Frustration? How many of you had groceries? How many of you ate all 4 weeks of the simulation? Nobody?
We eat now.
You didn't eat it all?
No.
You know, I like to say oftentimes that we're not so concerned about people being in poverty, but poverty being in people. That's the tragedy of generational poverty. It starts to live in you instead of you just living in it. And then trying to get out of it is very, very difficult.
I think I'm walking away with a sense of greater hope for our community, in that I know that there are individuals that are struggling, but I also know that there are people in organizations and systems that are ready to support them. And as long as we can continue to do that good work collaboratively, then there's a brighter future, and there's hope for individuals that may not be in the best situations right now.
Today was very valuable for me personally, and I hope it was for other people.
I think anybody off the street can walk in and get something off of this. I mean, anybody could just walk in and sit down in that gym, and I think they could get something off of the class that they'll give. I really do.